Hi everyone! In today's video, I'm going to teach you some really useful phrases that will help you to improve your vocabulary and help you understand people in conversation. All of these phrases are combinations of two words and the word and, like up and down, hot and cold, give and take. These can be combinations of two nouns, two verbs, two prepositions, two adjectives, but when we put them together, they make a phrase that has a specific meaning, and we use these all the time in conversations, so they're really useful to know. The first one is up and down, up and down. Up and down means that things are sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes up, sometimes down. And we use this a lot to describe, situations that are changing, that sometimes it improves and sometimes it gets worse. For example, we could say, her health has been up and down lately, or my job has been up and down. The next one is night and day. Night and day refers to two things that are complete opposites. For example, we can say, even though their personalities are as different as night and day, they have a great relationship. Or the cultures of China and the US are like night and day. Again, it refers to two things that could not be more different. Number 3, hot and cold. Hot and cold refers to inconsistent feelings. When someone feels like happy and enthusiastic and interested, and then they feel bored and not interested. So inconsistent feelings. For example, we can say, how are you feeling about the new project? Hot and cold. Or he was hot and cold throughout the entire date, so I have no idea if he wants to see me again. Again, it's that idea of having inconsistent feelings, that one moment the person seems happy and interested, and the next moment the opposite. One way that you can learn the phrase hot and cold and some of these other phrases is by checking out this Katy Perry video of the song called Hot and Cold. The next one is yes and no. And this one is pretty obvious. It means that both yes and no are true. For example, we can say, do you like your new house? Yes and no. It's a nice place, but there's a lot of work to be done. Number 5, give and take. Give and take represents the idea that in relationships that people need to both give to the other person and receive from the other person. That has to happen in both ways or on both sides. That a person can not only take from a person, but they also need to give. And we use this a lot to talk about relationships. It represents the idea that there needs to be mutual compromise and work on the part of both people. For example, before getting married, it's important to realize that a good relationship requires give and take. Number 6, brick and mortar. Brick and mortar are two supplies that are used to build a structure. Brick is the block and mortar is the cement that is put in between the blocks to build a house or a building. Brick and mortar refers to the idea that a business has a physical space, that a company or a business has a shop or an office that customers can visit. This is the opposite of having an online business. And we use this a lot nowadays because there are a lot of online businesses that then open a brick and mortar shop. Or brick and mortar shops are maybe not as common because people do more business online. For example, after selling their products online for several years, they've just opened a brick and mortar location downtown. Number 7, an arm and a leg. An arm and a leg means that something is expensive, and we use this with the verb cost. It costs an arm and a leg. For example, I need to get a new air conditioner, but it costs an arm and a leg, so I'm going to try to save and get one next year. Number 8, apples and oranges. Apples and oranges refers to the fact that if we have two things that are different, we cannot easily compare them. That if we try to make a comparison between things that are apples and oranges, that it's not a fair comparison because those things are just different. For example, we might say, New Zealand and the US have had totally different COVID responses. However, it's like comparing apples and oranges because the two countries are so different. So in this case, we might think that New Zealand is a small island country with a very small population, and the US is a very large country with a huge population, with people coming and going and visiting and leaving. And so it's really not fair to compare those two countries. It's not an equal comparison. They're like apples and oranges. Number 9, inside and out. Inside and out means in great detail or to know something thoroughly. Sometimes also people also say inside out. Inside and out or inside out. For example, you can say, I know her inside and out. That means that I know her so well. Or, I know this neighborhood inside and out because I was born and raised here. The singer Feist has a song called Inside and Out, and you can check that out to help you learn more about this phrase. Number 10, nice and slow. Nice and slow, or we also say nice and easy, means that you're going to do something with patience, you're going to do something slowly and carefully. For example, I have a big project I need to work on, but I want to make sure I do it correctly, so I'm going to do it nice and slow. Or if you're helping someone do something, they might say nice and easy or nice and slow, meaning don't rush it, do it carefully. Number 11, black and white. Black and white is a phrase that means that a situation has two opposite sides and that people usually oversimplify the situation, that they think about the situation in only this side or this side without considering what might be in the middle. So black and white, that people look at a situation and just see two opposites, and that's oversimplifying the situation. For example, we might say, she always thinks about things in black and white terms. That means that she just thinks about the two opposite ends without considering the small details or the nuances of the situation. The truth is not always black and white. Number 12, off and on. Off and on means that something is not consistent, that it starts and stops, or that it happens and then it doesn't happen. And we often will flip these and say on and off as well. For example, I can say, she taught there off and on for several years. Or, I study Spanish off and on. Or, it's been snowing off and on all day. Number 13, hit and miss. Hit and miss means that it has a good side and a bad side, or that you liked it and you didn't like it. We often use this to talk about an opinion, like that movie was a hit and miss for me. That means that there were parts that hit, that I liked, and there were parts that missed, that I didn't like. How was that new restaurant that you tried? It was a hit and miss. The last one is pros and cons, and you're probably already familiar with this phrase. It's very common, pros and cons. Pros and cons means the advantages and disadvantages, or the good side and the bad side. We might say, for example, let's look at the pros and cons of buying a house instead of renting. So in that case, we would look at the good and bad side, or the advantages and disadvantages. So I hope that this video of common phrases helped you. I will put some questions in the description box below that you can check your understanding with. And if you have any questions, as always, please let me know. As always, I so appreciate your support. So if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you have not already. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Take care.